Hey, welcome to today's episode with the Hive with Us podcast. We are currently live. We're live, Sonja, okay?
Anya.
Sonja. We're currently live. So we have a special guest, Sonja Ray. She is a master negotiator, master closer. She has years of experience, tips and tricks. We're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of closing some real estate transactions and a bunch of other stuff. Who knows what we're gonna talk about. But I'm happy to have her today and Anthony today as well. Look at that. Sonia Ray.
Ta-da. Hey, it's a threesome. What do you know?
Yeah, thank you for coming on here. We appreciate it. And we got a chance to hang out when you were down here in San Antonio, and I felt like we really vibed. So
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
we wanted to.
That house y'all have is a trip.
It's not too bad, right?
Oh my gosh, I felt like I was in Alice in Wonderland because you have that one little door with the handles
Stairs.
like all super low and stuff. It's so weird. And then I don't know if I told you, but I was exploring around in the attic and everything. So
Somebody told me, I was like, "Where is she? Cool. I can't wait to meet her." They're like, "I think she's in the attic." I'm like, "That makes perfect sense."
you can't leave me alone. I'll just start exploring, I'm like a big kid.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I feel the vibe. I said, I thought that was amazing. I'm like, this is dope. This is so cool. So
So
yeah.
Sonia stayed at our house for the wholesaling live event. She was a guest at our house for a few days, so she got to experience that. And that was the first time we met her. So I've been watching Sonia for a while. I've seen you everywhere. You do like yoga stuff. You do like mindset stuff. She does all over the place, but in a
And
good way.
cold plunge stuff.
Cold plunge, yeah. There's one about 10 minutes from the office. I go there all the time. I'm actually gonna take the Aussie over there, Mike.
Nice, nice. Do you go under too, or do you just stay above the neck?
No, I'm weak. I just do it to the neck.
Oh, you gotta go under. So, like, when you go in, like, go all the way down and then pop back up again. It will really help. Like, it will help, like, just when you're transitioning for the cold. Like, once you get your head cold with it.
Okay, nice. I'm actually gonna do that the very next time I go in there. I'm gonna send you a selfie video. Like,
Like, oh, she made me do it.
thanks a lot. No, yeah, I love it. I actually really do love it. Like, if you're having a super stressful day or like having one of those days where you're feeling just like a little bit of depression creeping in, exhaustion, yeah, you get your ass in that cold plunge, and when you come out, yeah, you're gonna feel amazing.
Oh
100%.
yeah, yeah. No, like even in the middle of the day, like if I'm off, I'm like, all right, I need to get out of my head, and that's
Yeah.
like the perfect thing because I have my cold plunge. It's right in my garage.
Oh,
Dang.
Yeah, next to the Hellcat.
Yeah. Dang. I'm jealous of the Hellcat and the cold plunge.
Well, just let me know when you roll in town. I'm a great Uber, so I'll pick you up on the cat, and we'll come over, and I'll have you go for a quick dip.
Hey, I'm that friend. Like, if you're in a restaurant and you're like, "Hey, you want to try a bite of my food?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, I'm gonna get in your food. So yeah, since you offered, I'm definitely gonna take you up on
Oh yeah, no worries. You come on over. I'll drive you on in.
that. Nice, thank you.
You're welcome.
so one of the first things we always ask is like, I've never heard the story, so I think people are interested. But like, how long have you been doing real estate, and how did you get into it? Because everybody has a random story.
Gotcha. So let's say, like, which time I got into it,
Oh,
because I
Mhm.
I was one of those sad stories. So I want to say it was, geez, 10 plus years ago when we had first made the attempt to get into real estate. I was just like, I was always watching the shows, and my ex at that point in time, we were together, and he was like 15 years remodeling and contractor. And I was like doing the numbers. I'm like, oh, we could totally do that. Well, we can go buy a house and we can fix and flip it and all this other stuff and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we put everything into it, like all of our life savings, maxed out their credit cards. Oh, I didn't tell you, this was right around 2008.
nice.
Oh no.
Perfect
So
timing.
everything, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, honestly. So I mean, when we did the house was awesome. Like it was a bonding experience with us and the family. Like I had just had my daughter. I literally had her on my back and I'm cutting tiles. And my son got to experience, just ripping the house apart because we took it all, we gutted that thing and just redid it all up again. But by the time we were done, the market was crashing. And then at that point in time too, I was sick. And then on that time too, my ex wasn't able to get work anymore because he was doing contracting work for other wholesalers. And I didn't know what wholesaling was back then. that was drying up, and that was his only source of income. And then on top of that, our primary house that we had was, his friend, his so-called friend, put him in a 3-year arm. And at that point in time, his house started adjusting, and he was adjusting out of his house. And he would have qualified for a 30-year. That's why I said a so-called friend, because I used to do mortgages way back in the day too. And
Oh,
he qualified for a 30, so his friend should have put him in 30, but he put him in the 3-year adjustable arm product because he was making more money from it.
dang.
Yeah, great friend. So, long story short, with there is we ended up losing our primary home. So we went
No.
foreclosure. Um, didn't even know about short sales or anything. So, and nobody came knocking on our door. It was, and of course, we weren't answering the phone. You know, when you owe all that money, is like that's just you're not touching phones at that point in time. But yeah, we lost our primary home, but since we had bought the fix and flip house with all cash, we ended just moving into there because we couldn't sell it, like, just nobody would buy it, like, so we moved in there, and then I got really sick, and, about a year afterwards, ended up getting diagnosed with lupus because I was pretty much close to almost bedridden, like, we didn't know what was going on. I was in and out with doctors and tests and whatnot, so pardon me. So that's what ended up happening there the first time we attempted to get into real estate. The second time was, um, somebody had started calling us and saying, "Hey, do you wanna sell your place?" I'm like, "No, like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not listed, blah, blah, blah," and I started talking with the person a bit, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we do wholesaling." I'm like, "What the fuck's wholesaling?" "Oh, I'm sorry, can I come?"
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And then they explained it to me. I'm like, "Oh, wow." So I was like, "Okay, now I'm, like, interested. What is this all about?" Because I felt terrible. Because I felt like it was all on me. Because it was my idea to
Yeah.
decide to do this fix and flip, and we lost everything, and so I'm like, "Alright, well, let's see what this wholesaling is about." So I learned more about that. I was like, "Oh, dude, this is awesome." Like, the risk is so small. Like,
Mhm.
there what risk? It's not like when you do fix and flip where, like, you put all your money into it, you're good. Like,
Yeah.
with wholesaling, you just do a little marketing here and there. If you get a contract, great. If you don't, no big deals. Like, you're not losing your ass. So, and that was 4, almost 5 years ago when I started learning about that, and
Mm.
so, yeah, that's my story of how I eventually got into wholesaling.
So now we saw the dark side of wholesaling and real estate investing. So tell us about the rainbows and butterflies now. Like, how are things going for you now? What are you doing? Who are you working with? What markets are you in?
Right. So I will say this, it was a bit of a rough start on my end of things. It's just like learning about like marketing and doing cold calling and like I didn't know about like, oh, you hire a VA and they do all that. So at first it was like I had a bit of troubles. And then I ended up hearing somebody doing a interview and they kept saying, "Oh, hey, we have all these leads to call, but we don't have somebody to be able to call it for us." So I reached out to them and said, "Hey, I'll work for you for free so then I can get the experience on the phone." So I started doing that and I worked with them. The first deal I ended up locking up, ended up they ended up doing we ended up doing like a 30,000 assignment, and then we just solidified the relationship from there. We worked together for a little while. They were still new with doing things, so we just kind but we worked together for a little bit, and then we just kinda split ways because it was just too much stuff going on, and then after that, I was back with my just working with myself. I partnered up with somebody else for a little bit. We actually did door knocking, and I'm in Arizona, and during summertime, so we were door knocking foreclosure homes, and
Ooh.
what we would do is I would go on the county website, and if they had just dropped that day, we would go to their door. So, because most people were when they get the foreclosure stuff, it's usually they'll get it that next day is when everybody's buying the list. So we were attempting to be like ahead of people. So, and then even at one point in time, we had a printer. We had a printer in there, so we would just print out the records, like showing them, like, "Hey, you are about to go into foreclosure. Have you considered selling and whatnot?" So, ended up doing that for a little bit, and ended up doing like a fix and flip right down the street from my house. It worked out really well. that person and I ended up splitting for a while. Ended up going back with the other company I had worked with prior, and was with them for about 2 years. And last year with them, I was not only their main closer, but I was also too training other companies across the country and their sales team. I was
Okay.
also basically the team manager of the company. So I was running the guys, and I was all virtual too. I was the only virtual person there.
Nice.
Um, so I was doing that as well as running the teams and stuff like that. And as well, on top of all that, I was also part of helping them sell their education part of everything with that company too. So I basically was wearing like 4 different hats in that company. And like I was saying, and I ended up closing last year close to 1.5 million in acquisitions. Now, could you imagine if I was just straight acquisitions at that point in time, like what I would have done?
Dang.
So, ended up splitting ways with them. Just been out my own. So I'm doing 2 different things right now to stay relevant and in the market. I still excuse me. I still am in wholesaling. Um, I'm currently over in the Kansas City area, also too in the Georgia area, and a little bit around in the Phoenix area. I have my daughter working for me part time. She's 13 years old, and what I have her doing is basically Googling for dollars. So
Nice.
she'll go online and she'll find like I gave her a certain zip code to be looking in, and then she'll go find like all the little shitty houses, and she'll copy and paste the addresses onto an Excel spreadsheet. And then I've shown her how to make it into a, I always screw up the name. It's either what CSV file or CVS file, whatever.
Yeah. CSV.
There you go. Perfect. So to have her go into that. So once I get that, all I gotta do is just load it up to get it skip trace, and then I take that and give it over to my VA to start calling and such like that. So I do that part of things, like I say, because I see too many times when people start going into education and like coaching and consulting, like they're not on the phones anymore.
Yeah.
They're just only doing that. And I wanted to stay relevant. So that's why I still do it that way. And so I'm still making the calls, and like most, so I've got my one cold caller, and then I also do PPC marketing. I get more from my PPC marketing than I do from my cold caller currently at this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that you put your daughter to work at 13. That's amazing. My babies are all small, so hopefully I'll teach them the game eventually when they get that
Well, if
age.
you do mailing, or if you do any mailers like at home, you can have them like write out where the return address and stuff like that, or they can stuff envelopes, and there's always something.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing, like passing on that legacy of all the stuff you've learned over time, and just educating in general. Which is like the funny thing about, like, a side note, because the reason why I do so much like video content like right now is because my kids are all younger. They don't understand what I'm talking about. They're all 5 and under. So I'm like, this is, if they go back and watch all this stuff, they can see what I'm doing now. But it's just like one of those things, like you can't really have that conversation with them now. It's just
Yeah. No, I even my 13-year-old, she's like, whatever, you know. I remember when I first got my car, she's like, whatever. I was like your friends probably think, I was like, just wait till high school. Trust me, like they're gonna think that's really cool. So
It'll be
that's
cooler later.
yeah.
That's funny, man. It's cool. It's cool, the journey that, like, a lot of people think like it's just like you can become overnight success and you get cleaned out the first time you did this, but it's a learning lesson. It's the thing that separates everybody else is just being consistent and coming back for more and
Yeah.
separating yourself out doing it.
The
It's
one
cool.
thing I can say that I really was a huge thing for myself personally wise was when I was working with the other company for the 2 years, I was able to basically solely focus in on just pretty much sales. That's all I did was sales. Because if I wasn't locking up my own stuff, I was training and teaching the sales guys that on the teams, or that I was also doing the coaching with other companies out there. So I was always in like just really fine tuning the craft, you know?
It's such a cool, interesting spot to be in, because like a lot of people think they need to do everything, but like if you find out what your skill is, which Anthony above me, his skill is sales. So like that's all he does, and I run a lot of the back end stuff. So it's just finding what you're good at and focus on that.
Yeah, and run with that. Because what ends up happening too, like you attempt to get good at it's like something else that you're not. It's like why waste that time and energy? Find somebody that can fill in that for you, and then just go with it.
100%, 100%.
I got a question. So I would
Uh
like
oh.
to for you I would like for you to speak to like how does a woman break into real estate, right? Which from the outside looking in, it looks like it might be like predominantly like a man's world, right?
Right.
So what did you do to differentiate and set yourself apart? Just like I'm just going in there and just killing the deals, crushing it, and just building a name for yourself that way? Like, what did you even see anything? Because you strike me as that personality type that might not even appeal to you or appear to you. You're just like, I'm just gonna just
No.
come in here and kick the doors off
I
their hinges.
I don't think about that. I don't
Yeah,
separate myself, "Oh, just because 'cause I'm female or whatever. I'm just gonna
yeah,
just freaking go at it." Like, I don't I don't see it as a separate thing like, "Oh, like, I gotta go throw some heels on," and I don't know. I don't have an answer for that because I don't look at it like, "Oh, I'm a female in a man's world." I'm just like, I'm a person in the world, and I'm just freaking going at it, and that's what I do.
I'm just gonna kill it just because that's who I am.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
whether I've gotta, or not,
I hear women complain about that all the time. They're like, "How do you break into this industry?" And you're like,
You
"Nah."
pick up the phone. I'm like, there it's not like a secret sort of thing. It's just like you just go and just do it. Like, who cares there's a whole bunch of dudes in it? Perfect. You know why? Because now you're gonna be different than everybody else on the phone. Because some of these guys are like uber aggressive. Like, oh, you don't want to sell me a house? What a dick. Blah, blah, blah. They hang up the phone. And then somebody like me comes on the phone and be like, hey, how are you? And people tend to open up a bit more with women versus men.
True, 100% true.
I don't really understand why females would be intimidated because there's more guys in it than chicks.
I wonder if they feel like there's some kind of like disadvantage there. Like I said, I don't know. It's weird. And like you said, it's probably like an advantage, right?
It's a
That's
total. It's
yeah,
a total. Just like too, like I don't know if you ever see like when I post up on IG, I was like, I've got a time zone advantage. Like I could start work over here at 6 o'clock because
mm-hmm,
it's 9 o'clock Eastern.
mm-hmm.
And then I can be done. I can be here I can still be working at 5, and it's 8 o'clock there. And they think I'm like, oh wow, you're so awesome. Thanks for staying up late. I'm like,
You're welcome.
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is like you always want to make that person feel special that, you're doing this extra for them. But, sometimes they're like, oh, can you call me back at midnight? Sure. 9 o'clock my time.
That sounds great, actually. So,
But I
what
don't
about?
sleep much, so it's all good. Like, even if they want me to call early, like if so anytime I wake up and I was showing Daniel earlier what time I got up today. I don't use and I didn't tell you, I don't use an alarm.
I love it. I don't either.
I clocked in on IG. So what I do on IG is I throw up like a quote, and then I put the time, and then I put the day. Well, I put the day also too because like all my days started blending in with each other. So I started putting the day up there. I was like, oh yeah, it's Thursday. Cool. Boom. But yeah, I put the time. But yeah, so I think what this morning was about 3:20. I was up at.
Dang. Okay. Yeah. I'm not getting up at that time.
Me
I'm just
neither.
impossible.
That's crazy. I was
Yeah. Leo,
laughing.
Leo says you were built for this. It's in your blood.
There you go. It was Leo.
I see that.
Yeah.
You strike me like as a natural, like somebody. Yeah. Like if you're just gonna do something, like yeah, I'm just gonna knock it out real quick, no matter
It
how big
might
the
as
challenge
well.
is. Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing too is I have like some backstories, and like a lot of people don't know, like I used to be in a wheelchair not that long ago.
Oh, shoot, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, you don't really talk about this side of stuff. Like, well, hey, you're in sales. Like, teach me some sales tips and tricks and whatnot. And you don't go into the backstory of shit. But
Go
like,
from a wheelchair to standing up on the baluster on the staircase in here, talking about.
and crawling through the attic and whatnot. And
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Amazing.
So remember how earlier I said I got really sick? I was like really close to bedridden.
Yeah.
And I got so I've been diagnosed with lupus now for almost 12 years. Um, and that ended up happening because of something else I can't really get into. But because of that, when I had broken my foot a while ago back, I ended up getting it's another kind of autoimmune condition. It's called chronic regional pain syndrome. And so what ended up happening, what happens with that when you get that is your pain receptors just go freaking nutballs and they just keep multiplying. So I kept feeling the same pain as when I originally hurt my foot. And I didn't
Oh, yeah.
realize I broke it. I was like, I'll be fine because they said if you break it, that you just gotta just wait it out. So I got confirmed it was broken. Like 2 weeks later, I'm like, man, but I'm in a lot of pain. I don't understand. This is weird. So, long story short, my leg started changing color. Like it looked like it went to Hawaii. My other leg was white as hell because that was the other thing too with the lupus. I started getting allergic to the sun. Like the sun would literally drain all my energy,
Holy smokes! I never
and
heard of
I
that.
would um, literally it used to be so bad. I've got it so much better on control in control now. But it used to be at a point where if I was outside in the sun too long, I would come inside and I would pass out for like 14 hours and wake up and feel like I was completely hungover. I had no rest. It was terrible. It was like I had a freaking like I got drunk, but I got drunk from the sun. But anyhow, so like I said, the other leg was super white, and the one that was hurt was like just all tan. So it ended up happening where I couldn't walk on that leg anymore without being in a huge amount of pain. I used to literally I was walking crutches and I would like literally like drag my feet because it hurt so bad just to walk.
Oof.
They did nerve block injections. They had me on constant pain pills. They were attempting to put a device in my back that would have give me like shock treatments to help with it because they said there's nothing they can do to help reverse it. Um, it was really, really bad, and then I ended up in a wheelchair because I just couldn't walk anymore. It was so painful. I mean, I got to a point to where literally, like, I was about ready to kill myself. Um, and
Shit.
it was so bad. It was so hard to see my family, watch me in being so much pain because I would literally, like, lay on the couch and just cry because it was hurt so bad, and there was nothing anybody could do. So I ended up doing I don't know how it happened, but I was doing some research on YouTube and there was some sort of clinical trials for this treatment and I found out it happened to be in Scottsdale. I went and applied for it and they took me. I was one of like two or three other people and I did 6 months of the treatment. It was really hard too. It I ended up losing about 15 pounds because the treatment made me so sick, like, afterwards, I was always, like, throwing up and all this other shit, but
Mm.
it worked because I mean, you see me now, like, I'm not in a wheelchair, that's also too why I wear, like, cool ass, like, high tops, I'm not able to wear high heels anymore because of my foot, but hey, if that's the only thing, like, I really don't give a shit, so because
You
that's why
just
I got some cool ass freaking high tops now.
yeah.
But, yeah, so that's the kind of, that's the story with that whole thing, and I even remember too, like, a couple years ago back, like, I went to go hike a mountain and I couldn't do it all the way. It was just I had to work my way to it. And so literally there was a group of people of real estate people that would go hiking on Sundays and they go to the top. And I had to go on different days just to get the endurance enough just even to make it. And then finally I was able to make it to the top. So maybe that's maybe a little bit more about me of like why I just freaking just go out and I don't care.
Relentless, relentless.
I love that about you. Like I don't even know how to describe the personality type. Like I said, like we're just gonna just like you're gonna destroy it no matter what. Like and it seems effortlessly.
Oh, no. It just I make it look like even when I do if you ever see like some of the videos of me, like when I do the cold plunge and like I'm in the water, it looks like it's not a big deal. Like, oh, look at it's like nice and relaxing, you know? But I mean, you've done it. You know how it feels.
I'm dying inside. Yeah, for at least a couple of minutes, and then your body gets acclimated to the temperature, and then you're kind of chilling,
Yeah.
literally chilling. Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing too is just like just reminding yourself it's all just temporary. Everything is just temporary. Like the pain is temporary that you're going through. Like once you get out, you're gonna feel so much better. Just like too, when like people are like they're afraid to get on the phones or whatever. It's like pick up the phone and just do it. Like you're more freaked out in your head than what's actually gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that's probably, I think pretty much any real estate investor, any wholesaler that's having trouble getting started, it's because they're afraid to pick up the phone. They can't, like, they mentally, they cannot get themselves to just pick the phone up. And to me, it seems like the easiest thing in the world. Like, I need the money more than I need to be afraid, you know, like,
Right, right. I love it because even before I was in real estate, like I did precious metals, gold and silver, physical gold and silver over the phone for a couple years. So like I've always like, and I grew up in sales, so it was just pretty natural.
smooth transition.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us what your business looks like right now? So, like you said, you're running some PPC. Are you doing nationwide? Are you only in Arizona, or what's your business look like right now?
So right now on that side of things, so like as I said before, I do a little bit in Arizona, and I don't do the PPC. I just have my daughter doing her googling for daughters, googling for dollars, and then the PPC and cold calling is out in the Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas area, and then as well over in the Macon, Georgia area, and that's all PPC too as well.
Very nice. So you're doing mostly houses.
For right now, I am finishing up with cash flow Mike, with doing like creative financing and getting more into that realm of things too. And I'm really starting to meander over to the what you call it. I almost want to say multi-level, but it's not multi-family. There we go.
Multi-family, nice. So you're the second person inside of three podcasts that have said that they're getting coached by cash flow Mike. Cash
Really?
Mike. Yeah. All right. Max Jimenez just told us the same thing. Yeah. So that's
Oh,
dope.
yeah, yeah. Well, when Mike had came out here because they just had the event over here, he flew in, and then as well too. That's when Max had first met Mike was at the wholesale event in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and like I already knew Mike because I was already training with Mike. So, but
Dope.
yeah,
We
small
sat
world.
directly across from him at the dinner, and I'm sad we didn't get a chance to talk to him more.
Now you know better. Now you know. Oh, and really quick. So, like, if anybody is in here listening and they have like picking up the phone reluctance and whatnot, the coolest thing is when we were there in Texas for the event, there was a kid there. He was only 13, and he was making calls. Mind you, he was scared too. And there was like this older guy sitting next to him. He's like, "Don't pressure him. Like he doesn't need to call." I'm like, "Dude, you need to shut the hell up." Like I talked to this kid earlier. I was riding in the car with him. You know, he's my friend's like nephew or whatever. Like this is what he wants to do. I'm going to encourage him to get on the phones.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
he, you know, it took him a minute. He's looking at it. I even like recorded it too. 'Cause I'm like, that's just cool. Like, can you imagine like if you had like your 13-year-old making a call and you had to record it for the first time? But like he picked it up and then he started dialing. Didn't get a person, start and then it just got easier and easier. So it does get easier, guys. And if a 13-year-old can do it, anybody can do it.
There you
That's
go.
Yeah, that's freaking amazing. Yeah, I wish somebody had pushed me into real estate when I was 13. Push me off the bridge, please.
Right.
I definitely would take that leap.
So, what's one thing? Because like I feel like you're relentless and you're a leader. So like, what's like a leadership quality? What's a leadership trait or something that you do to like keep everybody motivated? Because like being a leader is multiple things. It's training, it's motivation, it's mindset, it's doing
By
a lot.
example. You lead by example.
Mm-mm.
So you talk about this stuff and you encourage your people around you to be doing the same thing, but you also be doing it too as well. So one of the things like with a lot of my coaching clients with their employees, like we talk about, I'm huge on having your script in front of you. I don't care how well you know it. Like I know mine forwards, backwards, upside down, side to side, in the dark, whatever. However, you still want to always have that in front of you. So like here, like I've got mine right here. I put it on the 3x5 card because I travel so much now. So it's easy. I used to travel with paper, but 3x5 card's a lot thicker and it travels better. But yeah, no, the biggest thing is by example, because that's the other thing too. I've noticed out there. There's like these like positional leaders, and they'll tell you, oh, you need to do this, do that, and then they're off not doing that what they talk about.
Lots of that, and especially in this industry, in this business, like you said, they start coaching and now they're full-time coaches, and then they forget to do deals. So then they're just on Facebook capping about all the deals they did 5 years ago.
Right. Or it's like, oh, I'm projected. I'm like, but projected doesn't mean anything, or verbal doesn't mean anything. Like unless you've got ink on a paper, now you're, that's just the start of it. You still gotta get that baby sold and everything else like that. So
hmm
yeah. Ooh, somebody's
So
dinging. That's not me.
it's not me. It has to be Daniel.
It's
Daniel,
me.
you're ding ding.
My
It's famous.
one of my clients is blowing my phone up. I'm gonna send him a link to the live that we can watch it.
You've got the little thing on the side of it where you can.
It's my computer. It's hooked to the computer. There's no
Oh,
thing on the side of the computer.
you know, but there is. Do you have is it an Apple?
Yeah, it's Apple.
There is. I'll show you later, but it's on the upper right hand side. You can make it stop. I
hmm
learned that too because I was like, I kept getting dings and while I was coaching, and I was like, oh crap, and yeah, somebody
What?
showed me. Yes, you're welcome.
Daniel needs tech support. He's my tech support. And it's funny to know that he needs tech support too.
Right, and I'm old too, so that's even funnier.
Hey, so tell us a little bit about your coaching. Like, if somebody wants to work with you, what are you offering? How does it work? Is it regular meetups?
So currently, right now, how I have by that other side of the business established is that, and so I have two different things. They just pop something up right there because I don't right now work with individuals. I work with companies. And my biggest thing is having personal attention for the companies I work with. And the other thing too is like a lot of the gurus out here, they do group coaching, and I don't do group coaching. I only work with that person's team at that point of time. I'm not throwing out my other teams I work with and do any of that. So it's just that one company I work with at that point of time. So we do that. We go through, we have with that company, we'll do their coaching calls or review those. And then as well too is we have one-on-ones, and all depending on how many killers, I was going to say, how many closers they have on their team or follow-up specialists they have on their teams. Like either I'm doing like a 30-minute or an hour long with them with doing one-on-one. So not only will we go into like more like, hey Luke, what's up? I haven't seen you, brother, in so long. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm just noticing this stuff on this side over here. um anyhow, squirrel. Fuck. Blah, 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 blah. So we're doing one-on-ones, but when we do the one-on-ones, so like I can help you with your technique, but the biggest thing during these one-on-ones, it's happening is the mindset, and our mindset is the biggest thing in this business because there's so many times where like something or other's going on, and like I'm able to help people because I've experienced so much stuff. Um, to help them like get through that so they're not taking that into their workflow of the day. So we do that as well. So what I ended up doing, because at this point in time, I don't work with individuals. I ended up making a sales course, which is the Authentic Closer System. It's the acsystem.com. And what I'm doing for Hive is that I'm doing a 15% discount. So if you wanted to get that, there you go. Hey. If you wanted to get that, it's Hive 5 and you'll get 15% off of it. And just so you know, guys, like the thing is only like 750. And on top of it too, not only am I going over and teaching people with the how to, when you're having these conversations, I'm also giving them other like tips and tricks of like, hey, when you're having a shitty day, like what do you do? Or just like different things that a lot of people don't talk about unless you're actually have been in the business and in that seat, in that position.
Yeah, I think that's something that people, kind of don't factor into like the price of any kind of course or training is like all of the abuse you had to take, right, to get there, to come up with these techniques. So I think somebody sees a price tag and they're like, oh, that seems like something I might do someday. But I promise you, if you pull the trigger on something like that, yeah, it'll pay dividends over and over and over again immediately, right?
Right.
You can take like information, like you've already been through a crash, you've been through, to hell and back. And it's like if you're willing to transfer that information to somebody else for such a low price, like that's something that anybody should take advantage of, for
Yeah.
sure.
And then the way I teach in acronyms. So that's even easier for a lot of people to remember when they're taking that person through the process. So like when I'm, so one part of it is called, so a lot of people, it's all the same shit, honestly. So people can either say set the stage, set the expectation. I call it assign the agenda. So when you're doing something like that, so I was like, here's the acronym is 2. So you're doing your timeline. What's the call going to be about? And, what's gonna crap, I just got a brain freeze.
Oh, I get them all the time.
Boop. Yeah, but anyhow, never mind.
No, I was gonna say we'll come right back to it. So we'll start talking
Yeah.
about something else, and then you'll be like, I
It's
remember.
gonna Oh yeah, now I remember. Yeah, no, I knew that was gonna happen too. I really did. But it is what it is. That's the whole thing too, guys. Like when you do this stuff, like it's okay to be a fool and look stupid.
That's what I was gonna say is that like I think people they take this business too serious, right? It's like because if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying it,
Outcome. There you
right?
go. I knew it was coming. That's the L part.
Got it. Yeah, you have to have fun doing this business, and we even try to like convey that on some of these podcasts. Like I see a lot of podcasts, and they're like hitting you with all these cool numbers and facts, and it just seems like more educational. And then our podcast, like I think it's a little bit sillier. People can really be themselves, and if you treat your business that way, you're talking to your sellers like that, they can feel it. Like they know you enjoy what you're doing. Right? They're gonna, if you have commission breath, they're gonna be smelling that too. Like, what's up with this person? Like, why are they talking like this? And us, like I'm making fun of the sellers. I'm talking crap to them. We're talking to this guy about a $3 million ranch a couple of days ago on a call I did with one of our students. And we're talking about his eyes, and his eye health is failing him. And I'm telling him that like I'm a mad scientist and I might have some stuff that could help with his eyes. And like completely forgot about the property.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
let's go to dinner. Let's go have some steaks. Like I made a date with an old man instead of like closing the deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we spent
Well,
most of the time talking about health.
and it's funny you say that because one of my agreements, that one of the gentlemen that I'm speaking with right now, if he does end up moving forward with me and we close, that's part of the agreement that he's able to take me out to dinner. But I'm like, it's got to close. I was like, it's got to not only sign the agreement, it's got to close, and then yes, then you can take me out to dinner.
So I have a good question for both of you because you're both sales and closers. So what is the craziest thing you've negotiated for when you're doing a real estate transaction? Because I think dinner is a weird one.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever just done and agreed to something like that. I'm like, screw it, but it's got to be closed. So that was the one thing, because a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I'll sign, but then if you don't close, it's like dumb. So I think that was the pretty.
That was it.
Anthony,
Yeah, that was it.
Crazy one like that.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, man, I've dated so many old ladies.
But were any of them from buying their house?
Oh, that part. I completely left that.
Yes, that's what he's talking about. Like, when
No,
you lock up
no,
an agreement
I'm
or
kidding.
sell.
I
Yeah.
had a client from Atlanta. He negotiated a boat. He's like, I'll take the boat in the driveway too.
Boats and hoes. That's what I would even say.
Anthony, you found some guns in some property too, right?
Yeah. It looks like we're trying to close on that one now. Yeah. The guy's like, yeah.
Oh no, Anthony, I know your story. You got cows.
Oh yeah, I got free cows with the deal. Yeah. I was like, so are the cows going to be removed at closing? And she's like, I don't have any equipment to move them. She was like, you can have them. I was like, thank you, I guess. What do I say to that?
So what do you do with that? Are you going to go over there and get some fresh meat or what?
That's what I'm thinking. Corey Thompson's like, send them to the sale barn. And I'm like, I guess so. I guess I could load up my refrigerator with more meat.
That's going to be a lot of meat.
Yeah,
a lot of meat.
Yeah, way too much.
You're going to be like giving that shit away.
Yeah, there's an agent that probably gonna end up listing that property for us, and she's like, "I'll take them off your hands." I said, "Look, if you can get me a full price offer in record time, I might just give them to you." So I'm using them as a bargaining chip right now.
Might as well. Who's taking care of them right now?
I have no clue. That's what I told the agent. I said, I don't know what's going on with those cows. I said, like, you need to go check on them. I know there's water out there. I mean, it's 123 acres with a stream in it, so I'm sure they're okay. But I'm like, tell me if I need to pick up some bales of hay. Like, what do I got to do? Like, I'm a city boy. So I told her,
Give me like City Slickers. I
yeah,
don't know if y'all have ever seen that movie. That's when you start
yeah,
aging yourself
I
when you talk
remember that
about old ass
movie.
movies.
Hey, I remember that. I'm
Hmm.
right there. I'm right there with you. That's how I feel when I'm talking to all these like farm and ranch sellers. Like, I feel like they know I'm a city boy. They could just see it in my
Like
face.
they could smell it a mile away. They're like, city boy. They could hear it in your voice. I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm surprised they want to deal with me, but no, they end up loving me to death. I guess they just see that I'm just a genuine guy, so they're like, okay, we accept him into our tribe.
you can come in the fold for a minute.
Yeah, I've had a lot of good luck, honestly. Yeah, with like these older gentlemen that are like super wealthy, that have these like $1 million properties. They just see like I would love to do the deal, but I kind of don't care. Like if we do it, amazing. If we don't, amazing too. Sometimes
Right.
you just learn something really cool, and these guys will mentor you. Like they'll say, "Hey, if I was you, make sure you avoid this. Watch out for this." So I just feel like we're just making a bunch of really cool friends, and then every now and then we do a nice big transaction, and it works out good for everybody.
Right. No, I actually had a guy that I had locked up just a couple months ago, and it didn't end up working out as a wholesale deal, but he ended up agreeing to doing a sub 2 with it because like, hey, we've been talking for this long. He's like, I want to make sure you get it. I'm like, okay, thanks. I was like, it was so unexpected. I figured it was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, all right, cool.
You know what? I want to talk about that real quick. If and for the people that are afraid to to get on the phone and they're like, you just got to just do the action, right? I say you just got to start with marketing, right? If you do the activity, you talk to enough people, people give you real estate. I can't explain that enough to people. Like you talk to enough people and people will start to give you shit. Like just do the work. I promise you, it gets easier. It does get easier. Like Daniel right now, he has a client right now that's trying to give him like what, Dan? How many acres? 20 or 30 acres or something? Daniel's muted.
I muted myself. I'm like afraid I'm gonna get dinged again. So I have a guy trying to give me 24 acres right now in Atlanta.
Give him 24 acres. Give.
Give that. Oh, you know what? That's another thing too. Um, there's a lot of people I've noticed at times too that are afraid to make the calls because they're virtual.
Like because they're in another market?
Yeah. And they're not in that market. They're like, oh, I have to be in that market. Like, no, you don't.
No, there's no rule that says that.
Yeah. They're like, I'm afraid to do it. You know why? Because they think they have to be there so they can be able to do stuff face to face with them. I'm like, I've locked up I've never counted how many deals, like, I locked up. I just counted, like, how much money I made. You know what I mean? Because that's what it actually matters, like, who
Yeah,
cares if I've done 2,000 deals, but you made 5 grand, like, who gives a shit? I rather wanna know, like, "Hey, this is what I actually this is how much I sold in."
yeah.
But, yeah, I was like, "No, I've done close to this, and I've been virtual, and I've not been in face to face with somebody before." I mean, I have, like, years ago. I mean, but however, the last few years, it's all the rapport I've been able to build, it's just all on the phone. I mean, I haven't even done, like sometimes people, I guess they'll do a Zoom with somebody. I don't even do that.
No, yeah, we've closed deals by text messages, email. I want to give a good nugget for this one right now. So if anybody's afraid to do virtual, I got the perfect workaround for this. So if they say, hey, where do you buy properties? First, I expand, right? So I'm like, oh, I buy anywhere in Texas. In case they're trying to like disqualify me by saying, hey, you're from San Antonio, you don't buy in Dallas. I'll
Right.
say, I buy anywhere in Texas. And then they'll try to disqualify you again, right? If you're virtual, they'll say,
Mhm.
well, do you buy in Amarillo? The way that I take the deal out of their hands before they can take it out of mine is I say, hey, I've never done a deal there, but I'm also not opposed to it. So it's like I turn
Mm.
it around on them. It's like I'm pre-qualifying you. Like I don't buy there, but I might. What do you have? So now
Right.
he throws the ball back in their court now. Like you sell me on why I should buy your property virtually, right?
I'd be
So
like, "I'm nationwide. I'll go anywhere as long as it, makes sense."
yeah, yeah. I just put
So
it back on them. Like I might buy your stuff. What do you have?
yeah, maybe. You tell
Yeah.
me. Yeah, that's the whole thing too. It's like play a little hard to get. Like sometimes the people like, oh, there he goes dinging again.
Okay, so Anderson is the guy messed up my phone right here, and he's in the chat too. So I'm literally he's like, is the live chat working? Steven Anderson, you're so annoying, but he wants to know where you got your hat. It says Hustler Star, by the way, if you can't
Hustler
read it.
star.
Okay, here you go. So it's a buddy of mine's brand, and it's it'll be hustle.com is where you can get it up. So he's got the hats, he's got shirts, and they also just came out with coffee. I really wish I liked coffee. So, but yeah, they've got it's I even attempted it like just to see if I like coffee, because you know how like your taste buds change over time, but apparently mine doesn't. So
So the thing about everybody in this room is everybody's persistent, and all of us are persistent in our own way.
yeah,
So
have to be.
I'm gonna block you, all right? So you're
Stop dinging him, damn it. He doesn't know how to turn off his dinger yet. The old lady got to show him.
That's so cool, man. There's people like Steve Anderson, you guys. It's like I told Daniel, it's like all the people we're connecting with in real estate, like all super, super cool people. Like if you were just friends with one of these people, amazing. But now we're starting to have like 30 of them, 40 of them, 50 of them. Like, man, this is pretty badass. Like if somebody
There's
would
more of us out there.
there's more maniacs out there.
Oh,
So
hell
I have
yeah.
a friend that's here right now at the house. He came from Australia. Like I've known the dude for
I
like 8
heard.
years. We've been in business together for like 8 years, and I've never met him in person. So like he come over here for a week just to hang out, and he had a friend of his that said, "Oh, you're going to America?" He goes, "Man, it's just like a freaking movie." And so he's like completely spazzing out of everything that he sees. He's like, "It is like a freaking movie over here." He's
Well,
tripping.
your house is like a freaking movie. Like,
I think it
imagine
was
if he was
Noah.
there for the event. Oh my gosh, he would have been like,
Yeah,
"Ugh."
I tried to get everybody here for the event. So Noah came from Florida, and that girl that came in when she came into the Hive House, she walks
Right.
in and she goes, "Is this how the gurus live?" We don't live here. This is just the office.
It's just the office.
It was funny. It was funny. Well, that was funny too, because like when I go to my room, I'm like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" But that dude has a cool last name, Anderson. Let's think of the Matrix.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah, I think we possibly are living in a simulation. That's a whole different podcast. Maybe we need
Mm,
to get Brian on here for that one.
that would be pretty dope. I would be like totally down for that one.
The Matrix podcast. Are we living?
I
Are
had
we
a dream about that before
about
it
the
came out
Matrix?
to a movie. Yeah, but before it was a movie. So when I saw that movie, it freaked me the hell out. Because you
Holy.
imagine like you have a dream like that and then you see it on the big screen. I was like, yeah,
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah, I've had some pretty cool dreams that I feel like I've seen the future in some regard.
that
Yeah,
was called a psilocybin trip.
yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. We did talk a little bit about psychedelics, right? When we
Yes,
interviewed
we did.
Brian, Daniel.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
was saying you and I were talking about it too when I was at the house. I'm like, yeah, we
yeah.
did.
I find it disturbing that people think that like Tylenol and ibuprofen is perfectly cool and fine, and alcohol, right? But then you mentioned like psychedelics, and people are like, "What? That's drugs."
That's the
while they're
devil's lettuce.
while they're pounding 6 cups of coffee a day.
I mean, you
All
can
right.
pound coffee, but if you do it the other way, it's much better for you.
If you like take it like, I've heard of that. So what does that do? Does it cause like a purge or what?
Well, what ends up happening is when you do it that way, it's so you know how it gives you guys like the energy and stuff to like to really go at it. It does that for your internal systems, and so it gets that stuff like it helps like take the toxins out of your body and just pull all that crap out.
Does it still
Like
give you a rush, like a coffee rush, like you drink it?
a little bit, yeah.
That's very, very interesting. I've always heard of that. Yeah, I did almost 10 years of like raw vegan, green juice, like fasting, all this crazy stuff. And yeah, I just went as deep down as you can go into these crazy healing rabbit holes. And I always heard of that. I just never knew like what the effects would be or what it was like.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable though. It's not like something like, oh yeah, but the benefit of the afterwards, it's just so awesome because as well too, it's just like it's just helping your body just cleanse out like just like some old crap that you've got going on and just helps your system flow so much better. So if you got any like toxins or metals and stuff like that, it just helps pull that out of your body.
We want to start doing more health related podcasts. So I wanted to talk a little bit about like lupus and what you're doing to like kind of mitigate that. If there's anything that you can share about that,
Oh, I've got
maybe.
a shit ton. That's all. Honestly, like I don't take any medicines. Because when I got diagnosed, they put me on a medication that would literally, I had to go in once a year to get my eyes checked because I could go blind from it.
Oh shit.
Wow.
And on top of it too, you still get your flare-ups. So I'm still gonna have pain and deal with all this other crap and then lose my vision? Like, fuck you. There's gotta be something better. So
That's
I just started.
where we're at in the medical system right now. That's
It's
where we are. That's
ridiculous.
the epitome of health. Like what?
That isn't health. That's the whole thing. It's just like, here's the pill. Like, the pill doesn't do anything for you. It just maintains you. And then it just messes up all your other organs. And then you got to go take a pill for that. And then you got it just like, it just is spiraling down just crap hole.
I'm in real estate for about 5 to 10 more years before I feel like I could like fully automate this beast and where we're headed. And then after that, I'm going into the medical field. I'm going to start pushing like a compounding pharmacies, like doing peptides and like these more natural healing modalities. Cause that's my biggest passion. I really am a scientist. Like I'm a mad scientist.
You are a
And
mad scientist. That's
yeah,
cool.
I love that more than I love anything, more than I love real estate, more than I love money. Like all of that is super secondary. Like if medicine was number one and healing people was the first priority, then money and real estate is like number 23, right? That's how big the gap is between what I love about
Damn.
medicine. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be in the medical field in the next several years. Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is this. It's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have if your health is shit.
Yep.
Or it doesn't matter how much money you have if you're seeing all the people around you getting sick and aging and dying and falling apart and you can't do anything about it. You
Yeah.
know, that's like I still have my parents, thank God, but it's like, they're getting older and it's like that's super important for me. Like if they're gonna transition no matter what, but they
Right.
also don't go like falling apart and terribly ill and just miserable.
Right.
So yeah, I'm doing a
They
lot
could
of
have
that.
actual quality of life. Like, my mom passed away at like, fuck, she didn't even make it to 50. She was 49. She had
Oh my,
a lymphoma and like went like that. Like, she got diagnosed and like a month later she passed away.
oh man, that's so scary. One of my sellers right now, one of my property sellers, she's doing really bad. I mean, she has like a growth on her face, like a black growth about the size of a golf ball.
Oh
And so I,
geez.
I ordered her a bunch of like ozone products. Like somebody made,
Hmm.
yeah, I met a guy yesterday that has he's in the ozone business, like a clinic in Dallas. And I'm like, dude, give me the website. I'm like, I'm going to just buy her a bunch of stuff right now. Like, I didn't even ask her permission. I just ordered it all. And I'm like, hey, you're going to have some stuff in the next couple of days. Like, just start
Go
using
dip
it.
your face in some cold plunge too.
That's what I'm thinking. I think like if you're just more active, like if you're out there like finding out what are the healing modalities, take a cold plunge, do some sauna, do 1 day of green juice, fast for 24
Mhm.
hours, do a water
Oh,
fast. Like,
fasting's so good for you. It's so good for you because when you give your body that break, then because your body's always like digesting and everything else like that, when you give that break, and not even like I don't know how many days you do when you do a fast, but I tend to do at least a 3 day. I'm unable to at this point in time to do a 7. I'd love to. Unfortunately, my body just is not able to handle it. However, like on day 2, like my vision gets better. But
every
the
now everything.
yeah, the biggest thing is because it's always digesting and stuff like that, and you give it that break, and then once it stops working that system, it starts working in other things for you. Like your body will start doing that, and then you'll end up having the autophagy part of things too. So when you have these really shitty cells that need to get the fuck out, they die.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing too with the cold plunge, you know? The whole like you're getting yourself so cold, like those weak cells will end up dying off. And like with cold plunge too, like your white blood cell count, you can increase it that way. I mean, there's so many benefits for like just doing one action.
Yes, I love it. I'm telling you, we got to revisit this. We have to do like a whole nother show about this. And I'm trying to spread the word like the same way that I want to like spread wealth, right? So that's why we share real estate information. I also I want to share like health related information because again, I think they go together, right? They say health is
Oh yeah.
wealth. And I really believe that. Yeah. If we're just out here just hammering it and just crushing it and entrepreneurs, but you're not taking care of yourself, like
It's not worth it.
it's not going to lead to anything amazing. I can promise you that.
Yeah, it's like why did you do that to yourself? Like why did you pound yourself into the fucking ground and afterwards you can't even enjoy the fruits of your labor? Like what's the point?
I think everybody's thinking that they're going to do that later. Like first, I'm going to get mega wealthy. I'm going to collect as much cash as I need to collect, and then I'm going to focus on my health. But it's just not true. You have to do
But the
both.
whole thing is you don't even know if you get a later.
Hmm.
Like not even though that maybe you don't even die because of natural causes or whatever. You can get hit by, a car. There's like there's so many freak accidents out there that can possibly happen. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you might as well enjoy it while you can and be as healthy as you can with it all too. And it's just minor changes. Like a really great one is like grounding every day. Like, if
Hmm.
you're feeling off center and whatever, like, go outside or you're having that's another thing too, like, you don't have to do a cold plunge if you're having a bad day, you can go ground. Just get reconnected with the earth again. You're taking your shoes off, you're taking the socks off, you go in the dirt, you go in the grass, you go in the rocks, and just put the puppies in there and just disperse out that negative energy you've got going.
Very powerful tool. Yeah. Every time I go to the beach, I just like set a chair by the water and I could just sit there for like 2 days straight and not move.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. And then I'm completely like grounded out, like more so than ever. And it lasts weeks after that.
I've been missing that. I haven't been to the beach since my birthday. I flew out to Florida and I stayed out there for a couple days and it was awesome because nobody was on the beach because it was like 44 degrees out and people were walking on the beach with parkas and shit and I'm used to cold water so it doesn't I was the only one in the ocean and people are walking by with freaking mittens and a hoodie. They're like, "What is wrong with this person?" It was
Oh, we're, over
hilarious.
here in the, we're in the cold plunge at 46 degrees and shit. Okay. Well,
42.
42.
What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
Ooh, so I'm really big on this, which would be Yoda's huge quote. Resonate completely. Do or do not. There is no try.
I love that quote. I love that quote.
And
You
I'm
know,
all over when people say try. You were saying it earlier too. I kind of shut up. But try is such a non-committal word. And a lot of us who are out there are just not non-committal people. So like whenever you say that, it's like, don't say something like that. Like you're not a non-committal person. Why would you even say try? Oh, I'm gonna try to be healthier. Like, come on, really? You're gonna do it or you don't.
I'd rather a person just quit instead of try. Like,
You can't try.
just quit. If you're gonna, if that's all you're gonna do is try, like, no, you can.
They've already quit.
You can do it. You can definitely.
There's life and death to the power of our tongue. The words we say are so. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a mastermind, and I'm always trying to get everybody in there to quit.
You're always trying to get them. See, you say
Trying
it
to
a
get-
lot.
No, I'm trying to get them to quit. Like talking about that. Like
So
literally,
you're
like,
not
if you're
trying
gonna
to
quit
get them to
later,
quit.
quit now.
Yeah, you're not trying to get them to quit. You're just like, all right, quit saying it. Just
Yeah.
quit. Because
Mm-mm.
even now you're saying it too.
Yeah, true. I get it.
There you go.
So I'm not gonna try to get them to quit. I'm gonna make them quit now.
I'm gonna do it. It just.
I tell Daniel, here's what I'm going to say on the call today. He's like, I don't think you should say that. He's like, you might scare him off. I'm like, well, they either need a producer, or they need to not, one or the other.
Right.
Not being the
Shit or get off the pot. It's like
Exactly.
either you do or you don't. It's not a halfway in sport.
I love it. Yeah, this was a super fun one. I think we need to do this again soon. Like I said, we do have the like a whole entire health show that we're launching. That's
Yep.
going to be outside of real estate and kind of how it pertains to that, how leaders stay strong, how they keep their body and their mind strong. So yeah, we definitely need to have a part 2 of this conversation. It was super fun, super amazing. As always, yeah, you're a great soul. You always bring that good, fun energy. And I hope people watching this take advantage of your content and also your platform, your training. Because if anybody's struggling out there, if you're afraid to pick up the phone, said there's an easier way to get involved, and it's connecting with the people that already have momentum, like Sonja. And apparently, everybody loves you because you got all the comments. Everybody's giving you a shout out. So yeah, you're already well known.
That's the other thing too. Like I started doing a private Facebook group, and like tomorrow I'm gonna do live cold calls.
Sick. What's the name of the group?
I forgot.
Okay, maybe
it's all like things like the authentic closer.
Like closer. Okay, all right. I was gonna say maybe you can drop the link or something underneath this video.
If they're on my Facebook, like you can see it on there because I put it about it on there. So yeah, it's the authentic closer.
That is so dope. Super helpful. Calling live. That's amazing. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely pop in there and check it out.
Yeah. Got to join in because I'm only doing. I don't like doing a live feed on your personal page because some of those calls are pretty personal with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this should be behind a closed door. Yeah.
So.
At least one. Well, thanks for coming on, Sonja. We appreciate your time. I hope Go check her out. Instagram, Mindset Negotiations, Master Closer, Sonja Ray. We're out.
Let's go.
Okay.